The top stories tonight in Y News. President Rodrigo Duterte pushed the Bureau of Internal Revenue to collect a certain estate tax that is still due. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez, meanwhile, says the BIR continues to demand the Marcos family to settle their estate tax debt.
The Department of Agriculture declares an outbreak of avian influenza or H5N1 in the country. DA orders stricter containment measures.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority and traffic stakeholders agreed to reduce traffic volume in the National Capital Region.
Russia announces military scale back from Ukraine. However, officials remain skeptic.
Philippines and the world. Today is Wednesday, March 30, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am Hardin Delgado.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Tino.
First in the news. Without naming names, President Rodrigo Duterte has asked the Bureau of Internal Revenue why it has not yet collected a certain estate tax due. Nel Maribohok will tell us why.
In his weekly televised public address, President Rodrigo Duterte said the Bureau of Internal Revenue need not be reminded about its mandate to collect the estate tax as he justified why e-sabong or online cockfighting operations cannot be suspended.
Sa taxation natin. So, ang gobyerno can only hindi naman kailangan reminder sa Malacanang. Nandiyan yung BIR, so tanongin natin yung BIR, bakit hanggang ngayon hindi na kolekta yung estate tax.
He said the estate tax collections could have helped the cash-strapped government bankroll with some of its program. The president did not mention any names with a certain estate tax due. Malacanang clarified that President Duterte was just reminding the BIR in its mandate.
The president only reminded the BIROs to act on its mandate, and that is to collect taxes.
Acting presidential spokesman Martin Andanar has not confirmed if the president is referring to the Marcos family who have estate tax due.
Hindi lang sa kung sinong politiko o personalidad, dapat sa lahat na hindi nagbabayad habulin ng BIR sapagkat kailangan ng karagdagang pondo ang ating national government.
But in a text message to media, Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez said the BIR through Commissioner Cesar Dulay made the confirmation after the president reminded the agency to perform its mandate. He said BIR is collecting and demanded payment from the Marcos estate administrators. They have not paid, he added. BIR will continue to consolidate the titles in favors of the government on those properties which have been levied upon. Dominguez also said that the procedure may take time as it involves selling at public auction to convert cash. Presidential candidate Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. has claimed that there's a lot of fake news involved in his family's unpaid estate taxes, despite the 1997 Supreme Court ruling that they must settle their tax liabilities. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
Malacanang confirms that President Rodrigo Duterte will join the PDP-Laban Kusi faction rally in Cebu tomorrow. Meanwhile, the chief executive revealed he will call for his final cabinet meeting to formally bid goodbye. Rosalie Cos reports.
Malacanang has confirmed that President Rodrigo Duterte will attend a campaign rally of his party PDP-Laban Kusi faction in Lapu-Lapu City, Cebu province tomorrow. However, the palace has no idea if the president will announce his candidate that will be his successor. Before the PDP-Laban rally, the president is also scheduled to attend the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict meeting in Lapu-Lapu City. The PDP-Laban faction has formally endorsed the presidential candidacy of former Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., who is the running mate of the presidential daughter and Davao City Mayor Inday Sara Duterte. Meanwhile, the president has mentioned about his plans of calling for a final cabinet meeting under his term. He made the statement during his weekly public address.
Okay guys, salamat, and it has been a very exhilarating atmosphere to joining you in government, with you in government. Salamat.
Yes.
Magkita-kita pa rin tayo. Yung cabinet, maybe the last meeting, just to say hello and goodbye.
However, Malacanang said yesterday's meeting probably was not the last cabinet meeting of the president.
Tuloy-tuloy si Presidente magtatrabaho. Marami pa siyang unfinished business tulad nitong sa NTF-LCAC, tulad ng ating pagbangon mula sa negative effects ng COVID-19.
Before the COVID-19 pandemic, the president used to call for a monthly cabinet meeting. But when the pandemic struck in 2020, he has met regularly with his top cabinet members for about once or twice a week, and his public address has been broadcasted. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine National Police will observe a strict enforcement on expired gun licenses through Oplan Katok. This is part of the PNP's crime prevention and security measures for the upcoming elections. Leia Ilagan reports.
The PNP Firearms and Explosives Office continues to accept applications for those who want to renew their license to own and possess firearms and firearms registration. This amid the existing election gun ban. FEO Director, Police Brigadier General Alden Delvo encouraged owners with expired licenses to renew immediately.
Hindi naman na-hamper yun because of the COMELEC gun ban. No, tuloy-tuloy naman yung pag-issue natin ng registration or firearm licenses, and those who have expired licenses and registration can apply.
Police Brigadier General Delvo said all those with expired licenses within 6 months are considered loose firearms.
Marami nandyan na nakakatok, no? And sometimes it will cause troubles for our citizenry if you are holding firearms that are expired, or especially those or illegal firearms which are not registered.
Delvo adds, it is easy to renew a gun license and registration because the application and submission of requirements are online.
Qualified applicant may visit our online account www.feo-system.com and to create their online account or renew their licenses and registration online.
LTOP renewal requirements include NBI clearance, police clearance, drug test clearance, and neuropsychiatric clearance. Leia Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Agriculture calls for stricter measures to control the spread of bird flu virus in the country. Denise Inhente explains why.
The Department of Agriculture has instructed its local and regional offices to strengthen the monitoring of quarantine checkpoints to ensure that no products contaminated with the avian virus will enter their areas. According to DA Secretary William Dar, they are also coordinating with local governments, particularly in areas already affected with the H5N1 or bird flu virus, to prevent the further spread in other areas.
Meron na ugnayan ng bawat quarantine offices, bawat probinsya, at mayroon naman mga protocols na sinusundan at ini-implement. So, ganun po talaga pagmamanman at pag-quarantine and mga checkpoints ay nakatalaga para hindi po makakalusot, para hindi po pupunta sa iba't ibang areas ng bansa.
DA has implemented a travel ban of chickens, ducks, and quails from Luzon until April 7 to prevent the possible spread of the bird flu virus. Several areas with recorded cases of avian influenza or bird flu include Minalin, Pampanga, Victoria, Laguna, and towns of Bula and Sipocot in Camarines Sur. There are also cases in some barangays in Nueva Ecija, Bataan, Tarlac, Bulacan, Sultan Kudarat, and Benguet. According to the DA, they have already carried out calling in the affected areas to ensure that the virus does not spread further.
Ito po ay properly handled and we are seeing yung pag-cook ng bird flu. Mayroon naman tayo pagtugon agad doon sa mga apektado at called out na at nabibigyan na rin ng ayuda mga naapektuhan.
Meanwhile, several duck, quail, and chicken breeders are worried about the possible effect of the bird flu outbreak in their livelihood.
Hindi po kami basta-basta nakapapasok ng mga tao dito. Saka po yung mga ibon, tinatabi namin papalayo. Sinasabi na sa kanila, sandali lang po kayo dito. Huwag na po sanang makaarating po dito yung na sinasabi ng mga iba pong tao. Tulungan po kaming magano po dito sa mga itikan namin para po hindi makarating po yung sakit dito.
The Department of Agriculture explains that bird flu may have entered the country due to the migratory or resident wild birds that may have come from areas affected by H5N1 or avian influenza. According to experts, H5N1 spreads fast and it is also deadly in chickens and other kinds of birds. Other than this, avian flu is also infectious to humans with a direct exposure to a sick or dead poultry or wild bird infected by the said virus. Some of the symptoms a person may get from avian flu are cough, cold, redness of the eyes, body pain and sore throat, fever, and can also lead to pneumonia.
Yung possibility na makahawa sa health pero wala pa man na-monitor natin na transmission of this H5N1 virus to humans. Pero may mga pagkaaral na there is that possibility. Kami ay in tandem with local government units, even with the Department of Health, kasi kailangan po yung relationship sa human health ay matitignan agad.
Janice Hente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Labor and Employment will give emergency employment to residents affected by last week's eruption of Taal volcano. JP Nunez has the story.
To assist the residents who evacuated amid the Taal volcano unrest, the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, will provide a 10-day work program for affected individuals. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III explains workers will receive a salary of 400 pesos, which is the minimum wage set in Calabarzon region.
Ang immediate response ng DOLE ay yung bibigyan sila ng trabaho for 10 days and then give them a salary based on a minimum wage on that region.
As of today, the recorded families affected were more than 1,000 or equivalent to almost 5,000 individuals. The department assures that they will also prepare a livelihood program if the situation worsens. Secretary Bello said he ordered their finance officer to prepare 50 to 100 million pesos for further assistance. Secretary Bello said municipalities near the Taal volcano will be prioritized for the assistance. These are Agoncillo, Laurel, San Luis, Taal, Calaca, Calatagan, and Lemery. Meanwhile, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, announces that the Taal volcano may be downgraded to Alert Level 2 in the next 2 weeks if it will not show another indication of phreatomagmatic eruptions. Director Renato Solidum Jr. explains that the magma beneath the volcano is not enough to produce another massive explosion like what happened in 2020.
Kung meron pang mga explosions, maintains alert level 3. Kung sakali namang wala ng phreatomagmatic explosion sa loob ng 2 linggo, ibababa natin from alert level 3 to alert level 2.
JP Nunez, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And in other news, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, and traffic stakeholders agreed to reduce traffic volume in the National Capital Region. The Civil Service Commission, however, says flexible work schemes may be implemented permanently in government offices. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
Heavy traffic is back despite having a traffic volume less than the pre-pandemic level of about 405,000. Based on the last data by the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, there are more or less 370,000 motorists plying in EDSA on a daily average. During the Talk to the People with President Rodrigo Duterte, MMDA Chairman Romando Artes heeds to the Chief Executive's call to immediately address the congestion in the metropolis. The MMDA head vows to study the recommendations gathered in the recently held traffic summit led by the agency, participated by local government units in Metro Manila and other traffic stakeholders.
Ang agreement ng bawat isa na sobra po ang dami ng sasakyan dito sa Kamaynilaan at kailangan po talaga i-reduce, Mr. President. Last year alone, Mr. President, 300,000 vehicles po ang nabenta at 60 to 70% po niyan ay pumapasok sa NCR.
The MMDA says they are carefully studying the possible implementation of either intensified odd-even scheme or modified number coding, where both prohibit every vehicle in NCR roads twice a week. Otherwise, revert to the original number coding where every vehicle is restricted once a week, resulting to a minimal traffic volume reduction. Philippine Global Road Safety Partnership Secretary General Alberto Suwansing says any of these proposals is hard to take but should be implemented by the government to alleviate congestion.
Let's say, nag-umpisa ka ng number coding nasusolve mo yung problema, no? But then, over time, kasi yung mga tao, pag may pera, bili ng panibagong ng second vehicle, para magamit nila during kung bawal yung kotse nilang gamitin on certain days, kasi mobility nga pinag-uusapan dyan.
The MMDA also proposes work schemes, especially in government offices. These include earlier work schedule of 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. based on daylight savings time, 4-day week with a 10-hour per day schedule, or have the 5th day under work from home setup. The Civil Service Commission agree with flexible work arrangement to help with current situations, including fuel price hike. Commissioner Eileen Lizada says such scheme was long approved with a memorandum circular released by the Commission back in 1990.
Kung sa posible po, and we will try to incorporate it sa flexi workplace, kasi yung flexi workplace dati only during the time of pandemic. Yung flexi workplace natin, yung work from home, di ba, yung skeleton workforce. But now we are making it permanent together with the DSP, incorporate na namin dyan.
The MMDA targets to implement the schemes in May in time for the preparations for the school reopening. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, has ordered online platforms to take down posts of molnupiravir for sale. Molnupiravir is an oral antiviral pill used to treat mild to moderate cases of COVID-19. Aiko Miguel reports.
Food and Drug Administration Deputy Director General Oscar Gutierrez said 48 online posts of unauthorized selling of molnupiravir have been removed online.
Ito nga po ay na-coordinate natin sa mga may-ari po ng platform and even drugstore. All listings and posting were taken down naman po.
The FDA further explained there are only 5 brands of molnupiravir with emergency use authorization and compassionate special permit. These are Molnars, Mov4, Molozen, Molenzavir, and Molmed, with only an EUA and CSP and not certificate of product registration. Molnupiravir cannot be sold online or in any drugstores.
Violation po yun ng RA 9711 dahil hindi naman po sila mga rehistradong produkto. At na-monitor po natin na mga 48 po yung nag-attempt po mag-post consisting of 9 brands po. sold online.
Yan po ay paglabag ng ating pong mga batas at mapapatawan po kayo ng mga kaso, administratibo and civil. So, kinakailangan ay minomonitor po ito.
FDA Act of 2009 or Republic Act 9711 states that manufacture, importation, distribution, exportation, sale, offering for sale, transfer, promotion and advertising or sponsorship of health products without proper FDA authorization is prohibited. Those proven to be violating Republic Act 9711 will face imprisonment from 1 to 10 years or may face a fine ranging from 50,000 pesos to 5 million pesos. Health authorities are reminding the public that self-medication is not safe for one's health. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The National Task Force Against COVID-19 Medical Advisor supports the proposed deadline for booster dose. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why.
There is still a number of individuals who are due to receive their booster dose. Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship and Go Negosyo founder Joey Concepcion recommends to set the deadline for the administration of booster shot until June. Concepcion says there is a number of COVID-19 vaccine supplies that are due to expire. According to National Task Force Against COVID-19 Medical Advisor Dr. Ted Herbosa, he is in favor of setting a deadline to improve the vaccination rate for booster doses.
Gusto ko yung recommendation na niya sometime bandang lagyan daw natin ng deadline na maibigay yung booster para magkaroon tayo ng parang panahon na i-check na yung pati yung booster shot mo ay updated.
He also adds that it would pave way to the country's shift to lesser restrictions. The official also agrees with providing incentives to those who already received their booster shot.
Maganda yung may mga ganong pamamaraan na ma-incentivize ang ating mamamayan to get their vaccine.
Opo.
Kasi available naman siya. Kasi siyempre baka mag-expire lang yung mga bakuna by the end of June.
Dr. Herbosa also supports the national government's program of conducting localized vaccination days to prioritize areas that still have not reached their target population. The official believes the COVID-19 surge is possible if the vaccination rate for booster dose will not improve. Meanwhile, Dr. Herbosa reminds the public to continue following the health and safety protocols, especially when there is a possible influx of people going on vacation during the long holiday. According to the official, he understands the sentiment of our fellow men after 2 years of strict quarantine. However, they should still wear face masks and observe social distancing.
Gamitin natin yung ating kaalaman at common sense. Na 2 taon na naman natin ginagawa. So hindi na dapat maiba. Even if we are allowed to do family vacations or visiting the tourist destinations of Filipinas.
Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, according to Malacanang, President Rodrigo Duterte has basis to link the party list under the Makabayan bloc to communist rebels. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
Acting Presidential Spokesman Martin Andanar said that President Rodrigo Duterte has access to sensitive information from the intelligence community.
Alam naman natin na ang Pangulo ay may access sa lahat ng impormasyon. Kasama na ang sensitive information mula sa intelligence community. Naniniwala kaming may basihan po ang mga ito at itong sinabi ng ating Pangulo, ito'y dahil nais niyang maprotektahan ang mga mag-aaral na nasa kolehiyo na hinihikayat na sumali sa kanilang grupo.
In his talk to the people aired Tuesday night, Duterte backed Lorraine Badoy, spokesperson of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, who earlier claimed that several members of the Makabayan bloc are cooperating with the communist rebels.
Ang problema, they are supporting or they are really parang legal fronts ng Communist Party of the Philippines. Itong, ulitin ko, Kabataan, Anak Pawis, Bayan Muna, Alyansa of Concerned Teachers Act, and Gabriela.
Reacting to this, the Makabayan bloc said such red-tagging claims of President Duterte's constituent is a last ditch to silence progressive groups ahead of the 2022 elections.
Feeling namin, nagpapanik na ang kasalukuyang administrasyon dahil talagang lumalakas ang oposisyon.
Mali at mapanganib ang red tagging, tumitinding atake ito sa oposisyon, lalo na ngayong eleksyon.
Bayan Muna Party List Representative Carlos Zarate, for his part, said Duterte's red tagging during the election period was clearly a partisan political ploy.
Itong red tagging na ito ay act of desperation. In fact, a squid tactic din para ilihis ang mamamayan sa tunay na isyu. No?
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, respects President Rodrigo Duterte's latest pronouncement against some parlous groups of the Makabayan bloc that they are allegedly legal fronts of the Communist Party of the Philippines. Dante Amento tells us why live.
Good evening, Harleen. COMELEC Commissioner George Erwin Garcia says that President Rodrigo Duterte has vast sources of information. This is the poll body's reaction after the chief executive reiterated that some party list groups of the Makabayan bloc, such as the Anak Pawis, Kabataan, Bayan Muna, among others, are legal fronts of the Communist Group or the CPP-NPA-NDF.
Alam nyo naman, sa ating gobyerno, ang Pangulo may pinakamalataas na klase ng intelligence report. Lahat nakakatanggap siya ng report mula sa mga credible agencies ng ating pamahalaan at siyempre bine-verify na re-verify yan.
But Garcia explains they cannot simply remove a party list which was duly accredited. There should be a formal petition to void its accreditation, and currently filing of such legal action has already lapsed. Garcia added it should be better if a law will be passed that will introduce changes with the party list group or system in the country.
Pero ang ating pag-review ng kanilang qualification, accreditation is a continuing process. Hindi po tumitigil ang Commission on Election. But definitely, lalo na sa mga susunod na pag-accredit natin, definitely, yan ay ating bibigyan tutok at pag-aaralan.
Meanwhile, the task force Contra Bigay against vote buying is activated today. It is headed by Commissioner Amy Ferolino. The task force is a COMELEC lead group or led group with members from the Department of Justice, National Bureau of Investigation, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Philippine National Police, Department of the Interior and Local Government, Public Information Agency, and the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission or PACC. It can investigate motu proprio or even without formal complaint filed.
Siyempre po, kahit na motu proprio, pwedeng gawin po ng task force na yan, i-empower po natin yan. At the same time, siyempre yung task force din ay makakatanggap ng full support from the Commission and Bank. Bibigyan namin ng full discretion ng task force. At the same time, in coordination with the DOJ, Armed Forces, PNP, PIA, and the National Bureau of Investigation.
The poll body is optimistic that through this task force, especially with the help of the DOJ or as one of the members, the prosecution of cases will be fast. They have to convene in the next few days to discuss several matters or actions to be taken. Back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Dante Amento, reporting live from Quezon City.
The Robredo Pangilinan tandem vows before Typhoon Odette victims in Leyte that they will make sending of help and aid faster in times of calamities under their administration. Harleen Delgado reports why.
As they continue courting the voters of Leyte, presidential candidate and Vice President Leni Robredo and running mate Senator Francis Pangilinan met with the fisherfolk community in Barangay San Jose in Sogod Town. They were among the beneficiaries of the Sustainable Livelihood Program of the Office of the Vice President following the onslaught of Typhoon Odette. There, Robredo vowed to streamline the bureaucracy under her administration to make sending of aid to disaster victims faster and more accessible.
Ako po, naging congresswoman din ako, yung asawa ko matagal mayor. Ang karanasan ko din, ang tagal nang natapos ng bagyo, pero yung housing assistance wala pa din. Dahil sa burokrasya, kung ano-ano ipapasubmit sa inyo. So ito po yung isang aasikasuhin natin. Nasisiguraduhin natin na kung ano man yung mga programa ng pamahalaan, lalo na pagdating sa sakuna, dapat hindi na kayo papahirapan.
Pangilinan, meanwhile, says he will push for the creation of a Department of Fisheries and additional funds for the agriculture and fisheries sector.
Mas malaki ang ating karagatan kaysa sa lupa. Kulang ang tutok. So yung pagtatag ng Department of Fisheries, kinakailangan gawin natin yun. Kinakailangan natin ng suporta ng ating mga mangingisda na pag inalagaan natin yung ating mangrove, pag inalagaan natin yung municipal waters, dadami actually yung huli natin dahil dandyan yung spawning.
The Leni Kiko team caps off their 3-day Eastern Visayas campaign today. They also attended a campaign rally in Maasin City in southern Leyte. Speaking to reporters, Robredo admits she already expected that the campaign in the province won't be easy due to the political landscape. But she extends her gratitude to the supporter volunteers who tirelessly organized their campaign rallies despite the odds. Leyte is considered a stronghold of her closest rival, Bongbong Marcos, being a home province of former First Lady Imelda Marcos and the Romualdez clan.
Ang expected namin, mahihirapan kami mag-organize. Pero unexpectedly, pagpunta namin, may mga organized groups na yun yung opportunity and yung balak talaga namin, we will build on that.
The Robredo ticket will be touring Lanao del Norte tomorrow. Jorlin Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, after 5 long weeks of warfare, Russia announced a major scale back and reduction of military activity in Ukraine's capital. Several officials, however, do not believe the deal. Ryuji Sasaki will tell us why live.
Russia's declaration on Tuesday came after another round of peace talks were held in Istanbul between Russia and Ukraine, where Ukraine declared its decision of neutrality and non-nuclear status. But the announcement was met with much doubt by several Ukraine and US officials, saying that this announcement may just be a distraction for Putin to start his next operations, according to Pentagon Secretary John Kirby. Russian Deputy Defense Minister Alexander Fomin stated that Moscow's decision to cut military activity is intended to increase mutual trust and foster negotiations between the two nations. However, there were no other terms specifically spelled out for what this treaty will overall include. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky urges the country to keep its guard up, expressing that its counterpart still has a great potential to keep its attacks.
Ворог досі на нашій території. Обстріли наших міст продовжуються. Маріуполь заблокований. Ракетні та авіаційні удари не припиняються. Це реальність, це факти. Звісно, ми не бачимо підстав для довіри словам, що звучать від тих чи інших представників держави, яка продовжує воювати заради нашого знищення.
Ukraine stated that it will still continue negotiations, but officials are kept on their toes, knowing that the war is still not over. Kath?
Ryuji, what does Ukraine's delegation to stay neutral mean for the country's security?
Yes, Kath. Russia has long demanded Ukraine to drop its dream of joining the NATO forces. However, this peace deal, Ukraine's framework, outlines that the country's security will still be guaranteed by the US, Britain, France, Turkey, China, and Poland, closely similar to NATO's original arrangement. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Ryuji Sasaki, for that live report. Australian Treasury announces an increase in the country's national health budget. Mavian Dog will tell us why live.
Kath, as Australia approaches winter and the flu season, the government assumes that a new wave of COVID-19 cases will hit the country. In response to this, Treasurer Josh Frydenberg has stated in his recent budget speech for 2022 to 2023 that the nation's health budget will top 132 billion Australian dollars.
Funding for our health system has increased every year under our government and is now at a record high. Medicare is guaranteed. Bulk billing rates are at a record high. We have approved more than 2,800 new or amended listings on the PBS. That is nearly one every day.
In detail, Kath, the budget also covers further rollout of vaccines, replenish stockpile of personal protective equipment, and millions of rapid antigen tests for aged care and high-risk disability care settings. Meanwhile, industries that are heavily impacted by the pandemic, such as transport, aviation, and the aged care sector, responded negatively to the federal budget announcement, saying that the budget did not address any plans to support their industries, the lack of free rapid tests to workers in certain industries, and to improve wages, specifically for aged care workers. At the latest, Kath, there are around 480,972 active cases in Australia, with 66,953 new cases acquired in the last 24 hours. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Maven Dog, reporting live from Australia. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration and Centers for Disease Control have authorized a second booster dose against COVID-19 to strengthen the diminishing protection for people who wish to increase their individual protection. Joselito Liquido will tell us the details live.
Good evening, Kath. People aged 50 years and above are now eligible to receive a fourth dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech or the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. This is after the Food and Drug Administration cleared the second booster shot as early as 4 months after getting the first booster dose. The FDA has previously allowed a third primary dose for 12 years and older who are severely immunodeficient. This recent move will allow this group of people to receive a total of 5 doses, including 2 booster shots. Director of FDA's Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research, Dr. Peter Marks, said that the protection from the virus brought by the initial booster weakens over time in older and immunocompromised individuals, and that the second booster dose can help increase the protection for these individuals. Majority of the evidences proving the safety and effectiveness of the second booster shot came from the Israel's Ministry of Health, who recommended a fourth shot since the end of January and now have more than 700,000 people aged 18 and up receiving a second booster shot. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Joselito Liquido, for that live report. NASA's Artemis Program will conduct its 2-day final test ahead of its launch to the moon. Charis Longbowen will give us the details live. Charis?
Good evening, Kath. A go signal was already given by NASA for the Artemis 1 to proceed with the wet dress rehearsal on April 1 to 3. According to NASA, Artemis 1 is an uncrewed flight test which will provide a foundation for human deep space exploration and demonstrate their commitment and capability to extend human existence to the moon and beyond. On its scheduled rehearsal, the controllers will count down to 1 minute and 30 seconds and pause to check its ability to hold for up to 3 minutes. Then it will resume until 33 seconds before when launch would occur and the countdown will be paused. After that, they will reset to 10 minutes before launch and will do another countdown to around 9.3 seconds before the launch and ending the countdown. After the test, the propellant will be drained just as how the actual launch scrub would be done. The data to be gathered in this rehearsal will be reviewed before giving its official launch date. NASA's administrator revealed their plans for the Artemis program in the future, including landing the first woman and the first person of color to the moon.
Then from Artemis 1, for the first time since Apollo 8, Artemis will fly astronauts around the moon. and it will take them farther into space than any humans have ever traveled before. And when we land the first woman and a first person of color on the moon as part of the Artemis program, we will inspire the next generation of scientists and engineers and explorers.
Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Charis Longbowen, for that live report. A COVID-19 sensor developed at Johns Hopkins University offers more accuracy and speed over existing test methods. According to Ishan Barman, one of the senior authors of the study, the new technology addresses the limitations of the most commonly used types for COVID testings, PCR and rapid tests. The sensor demonstrated 92% accuracy of SARS-CoV-2 in saliva samples compared to that of PCR tests, along with detecting other viruses including H1N1 and Zika. It can be integrated with handheld testing devices for fast screening in crowded places like airports and stadiums, and can be placed on any type of surface. The technology is not available in the market yet, but patented by Johns Hopkins Technology Ventures, and the team continues to apply for a license and commercialization opportunities. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kat Tumaraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Good evening.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Luke, chapter 8, verse 18, it says, "Take heed therefore how ye hear, for whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken even that which he seemeth to have." And those are the reasons behind the news, March 30, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Herlene Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.